Yep, I think I just found the best keyboard that actually won't get you kicked out of your office. Introducing Epomaker's RT100. You can get this keyboard in a variety of combinations, so I'm sure you're going to find one that suits your style. Epomaker sent me out the retro themed board with silent switches. On that note, Epomaker have sponsored this review, but any opinions I express are my own. Now, the unboxing experience is something that I care a lot about, and as far as keyboards go, this one was actually pretty decent. You get the main keyboard compartment as well as the accessories section, which we all love. For accessories, you get a very standard switch and keycap puller, but the USB to USB-C cable is actually pretty cool in that it's got that retro look to match the board itself. Speaking of, the board comes protected by a dust cover and a plastic covered thing. I've actually come to kinda like these user manuals, and this one's up there with the best. You do get one other accessory in the box, but we'll come back to that. So this is a 95% layout keyboard, which basically means all you're missing are a handful of keys that you probably weren't going to use anyway. Now, I know that a lot of you swear by numpads, so you'd be happy to see that this keyboard has one, making data entry in a working environment a breeze. The arrow keys are placed interestingly in that they feel quite squashed, but this is just the nature of this layout. As far as the actual usability of this layout, well, I'm a huge fan of 65% layout boards, so I did find myself misclicking a bit, but those of you that are used to full-size keyboards won't have that problem. Now, it is worth mentioning that this is less of a problem with the board itself as it is my typing skill. The board is entirely made of plastic, but I didn't have any problems with this. I think it feels quite nice and sturdy. You'll be able to connect this keyboard to both a Windows or a Mac machine. It also has tri-mode connectivity, which means you can connect to your computer via the wired USB to USB-C cable, through Bluetooth, or the 2.4 GHz dongle, which is my personal preference just because of how easy it is. You also get a pretty cool clicky volume knob that can also pause your media playback if someone comes over to your desk at work. Moving away from a work setting, this board has N-key rollover, which essentially allows you to combine several key presses all at once, which is essential for gaming. It's gasket mounted, which means it's got a nice cushion typing feel. It's got a good degree of flex, which is nice to see. The RT100 comes with MDA profile keycaps, which I really enjoyed using. For those that don't know, I'll put a graphic up on screen. MDA profile is said to be more comfortable for longer typing sessions than Cherry profile, which you're probably used to. They're PBT caps as well, which make them nice and durable. Diving below the surface, we've got the switches, which are the sea salt silence. They're a 5-pin linear switch with an operating force of 35 grams, a bottom out of 60 grams, and a total travel distance of 2 mil. The switches come factory lubed, so you can use them right out of the box and expect this smooth typing feel. I have to say, these switches are unlike anything I've ever used before. They're almost totally inaudible to the click. They come in at $16.99 for a pack of 35, which isn't necessarily cheap when it comes to switches. The switch is made up of a POM stem and a PC and nylon housing. Continuing to dive deeper, the PCB is 5-pin hot swap, so your customizing ability is great. It's also got south-facing RGB LEDs. Now, you get lots of customizability with the Epomaker software. You can remap your keys and program your macros, so that's another powerful pro for this keyboard's usability for gaming. You also get a ton of RGB customization within the software if that's something you're into. Remember the accessory I said we'd talk about later? Well, it's later. So this keyboard comes with a mini display that can show a whole load of information. You have to hook it up to the software to initialize stuff like date and time. You can also hook in your CPU's temps if that's something you'd like, but I would take the figures with a grain of salt. My favourite feature of this display is that you can upload GIFs, which can be a nice little motivation booster if you're at work. Overall, the mini display is quite gimmicky, but it's nice to see keyboard companies trying to innovate. I actually really enjoyed testing out this keyboard and 100% plan to add it into the mix of my keyboard rotation going forward. The silent aspect of the keyboard is really refreshing in a hobby that often looks for the talkiest and creamiest builds. One thing to point out is that although this is marketed as a silent keyboard, and it definitely is, the stabs are quite a bit louder than the regular keys, which I'll have a sound test for. I don't think it's a huge problem, but if you do, there are a variety of methods you could try to dampen the sound a bit more. If you are considering purchasing this keyboard, then I'll have a link in my description you can check out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do consider subscribing and dropping a like.